Hello and welcome to the morning sports briefing here on the April the 2nd of March. Hi, I'm Paul and I'll be your host this morning here on New Zealand Sports Radio. In the news today, we've got cricket action in both the T20s here in New Zealand as well as the test match over there in the West Indies. The NRL fourth round is in action. We have news off the pitch in rugby union, as well as NBA and NBL action in the basketball and A-League football, as well as golf with the PGA and the LPGA having events this weekend. This is your best way to start the day with all the important sports news. And folks, the very first morning sports briefing was uploaded to Acast, our podcasting app, on the 2nd of April last year in 2020. So this is our birthday today. We've been going for a year. I'd like to thank all of those people who have watched and watched and listened to the shows. Also, all of the people who have helped me out across the drive on the rugby side of things with Ashwin, Boa, Stephen, Steve, Shane, John, more than I've forgotten to mention there. On the cricket side, Ashwin again with that one with Arun, Tarun, Sharuban, Taz, and all the special guests they've had over on Swinging from the Hip. Sanjay, Brad, and Richie over on the rugby league side of things with the standoff show. As well as the one of our newest shows, the Knicks newsletter with Dan Connor. I've gone blank as the other guys over there as well. So look, without their help, this obviously could not happen. As you can see, there's got a big team there of people who are all volunteering their time to help this make happen. And finally, a big thank you to supporters of New Zealand Sports Radio who support me through patreon.com/NZ Sports Radio for as little as $1 a month. The money they give me allows me to have the tech that allows this whole thing to happen. So thank you, everybody who has been involved. What a journey it's been over the last year and the wonderful experiences in sports such as bombing and jet sprinting that I've been able to experience and bring to you guys, as well as all of these sort of club rugby, club cricket, and community sports we've brought you as well. So it's been a year. Thank you, everybody who has been involved one way or another. Moving on to the actual sport then. Oh, and actually you might notice that I've changed location. Yes, I brought the studio inside, so time to move inside as winter is coming. But let's move on then to the sport. And over in the golf on the PGA side of things, we have the Valorant Texas Open with representative with Danny Lee there from New Zealand playing in that one. Currently, he is 5 over par on the first round, down in tied 84th. So having a very tough time of it there. Danny Lee, but it is just the first round. At the moment, Spaeth leads at 6 under par, 2 shots clear of the chasers. Over in the LPGA, and it's the ANA Inspiration, and Sasso currently leads at 4 under par with Lydia Ko from New Zealand is there. She's currently tied 37th at 1 over par on that one. Again, it's just the first round there, so early days in that one as well. Staying over in America, having a look at the NBA. And we had 10 games yesterday. Some of the key results from that one include the Bucks beating the Lakers 112-97. The Suns beating the Bulls 121-116. The Jazz beating the Grizzlies 111-107. and the Heat beating the Pacers 92-87. What does that mean for the table? Well, the Nets lead the Eastern Conference now ahead of the 76ers and the Bucks. The 76ers, with those two losses, drops them off top of the table. Over on the Western side of things, and the Jazz lead the way. They're on a 7-game winning streak at the moment, ahead of the Suns and the Clippers. Steve Adams' Pelicans will be back in action today. They're up against the Magic. That game starts at 1 p.m. Sticking with basketball and moving over to Australia for the NBL action. And 2 games yesterday as the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix beat the Hawks 95-63, and the Wildcats beat the Kings 95-89. So 95 looking like the winning score for both of those. The Breakers are in action on Sunday at 5 p.m. On the table, the Wildcats still top of the pile ahead of Melbourne United. Sticking over in Australia for the A-League, and yesterday we had 2 games as Western United beat Melbourne City 2-1. In that one, it was a dent in the Melbourne City's hopes, who are 3rd in the table. That's a good win for Western United. Central Coast Mariners were up against Adelaide United in 1st versus 2nd in the table. And Central Coast Mariners won that on 2-1 to secure or to open a gap at the top of the table now to 4 points ahead of Adelaide United. So good win there for Central Coast Mariners, who have played a game more than Adelaide United and 2 more than Melbourne United. So a chance for both those teams to close that gap. Over in the NRL, and we're into week 4 now with the Sea Eagles taking on the Panthers. And boy, oh boy, this was a one-sided affair. Panthers winning this one 46-6. Sea Eagles really in some trouble now. That's 4 losses on the bounce and a points difference of minus 122 after just 4 games. So they are struggling. The Panthers, on the other hand, now have 4 wins from 4 games, sitting at top of the table. But obviously, everyone else is left to play. Only the Eels are also unbeaten. So Panthers will probably be top of the pile because they have superior points difference at the end of the round. Moving on then to rugby news, and as I say, lots of news off the pitch rather than on it. Sad to hear that All Blacks captain Sam Cane is going to be out of action for 4 to 6 months due to a pectoral injury. He is going to be going under surgery to fix that. His right pectoral tendon, and which means he'll be out for 4 to 6 months recovery time for that kind of surgery. Clearly, that's a dent for the Chiefs and also the All Blacks as well. But he does say that it's possible it's an easy fix, and he's looking forward to some rehab. And getting back into good shape for the end of the rugby season. So we wish him all the best with that surgery. Hope it goes well, and also with his recovery as well. Other news off the pitch and mediation between the New Zealand Rugby Players Association and New Zealand Rugby will continue next week. They had a meeting on Wednesday, but did not reach agreement during that. The aim is to get agreement around the Silver Lake private investment in time for the AGM that is later this month. Also, we have new sponsors for the NPC. Last year it was called the Mitre 10 Cup. This year it is the Bunnings Warehouse NPC. They'll be sponsoring not just the NPC, but the Throw Palmer Cup and the Heartland Championship as well. So moved on now to another DIY or home building brand there. Moving straight from Mitre 10 to Bunnings. Don't forget, this evening we have Super Rugby action with the Crusaders taking on the Highlanders. The Highlanders with those 6 players all stood down. That will kick off at 7 p.m. This evening. We'll bring you post-match reaction straight after the game, after the final whistle for that one. And that's followed up by the Waratahs taking on the Brumbies. Waratahs having sacked their Rob Penny, their head coach, and put their assistant coaches into in charge for the immediate future there. So 2 sides there going into games this evening in the Highlanders and the Waratahs with issues going on at the moment that really need to be sorted out. Over in the cricket and over in the West Indies, the test match between the West Indies and Sri Lanka sees the West Indies in control. They bowled Sri Lanka out for 258 in their first innings, giving the West Indies approximately a century lead in that one, or just under 100 runs lead. In the second innings, which is live right now, they're 146 for 3. Carl Myers having just gone out for 55, but Braithwaite's still there, the captain, on 47 not outs, and he's been joined by Jason Holder, who is 4 not out. So 146 for 3 at the moment. Lakmal having taken 2 wickets, meaning that the West Indies now lead by 242 runs there. So West Indies in control of the second test there. Rain, unfortunately, was the winner between the White Ferns and Australia yesterday. They only managed, they managed less than 3 overs there. So in that one, so rain cancelled that last game, meaning the Australia and New Zealand share the series 1-1 to finish that one. Over on the men's side, and they did manage to get a rain-affected game completed, just 10 overs aside in that one, but that didn't stop Finn Allen from scoring a big score, 71 runs off just 29 balls, including 10 fours and 3 sixes there. Martin Guptill also scored 44 runs off just 19 balls, meaning that the Black Caps zoomed up out to 141 for 4 off just 10 overs in that one. That was a formidable total for Bangladesh to chase, and they were never really in it. All bowled out for 76 in their final over there, meaning that New Zealand won by 65 runs in just a 10-over game, folks. Todd Astle took 4 wickets. Tim Southey took 3 there to win, to wrap up the series 3-0 in that one as well. The player of the match obviously was Finn Allen with that rapid score, and Glenn Phillips was the player of the series. You have now started the day the best way through all the important sports news. As I say, don't forget to join us after the final whistle, straight after the final whistle, between the Crusaders and the Highlanders for post-match reaction. Also, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. in the morning sports briefing. As I say, this is our first birthday, so thank you everybody who has watched, listened, and been involved with New Zealand Sports Radio.